Wade Corbin was a man of structure, responsibility, and focus. As the head of the Space Research Committee, he oversaw the organization's most critical missions and spearheaded groundbreaking projects. But despite his prestigious position, Wade often found himself trapped in the monotony of delegation and paperwork. One fateful day, as he was assigning tasks to his team, he noticed something peculiar, a rare gap in his schedule. For the first time in years, his workload was surprisingly light, leaving him restless and unsatisfied. Wade was not a man who enjoyed idleness. He craved challenges, the kind that pushed boundaries and left a mark on history. As he sifted through reports, a particular document caught his attention. The paper outlined a fascinating theory: certain space rocks, found on an uncharted celestial body, could potentially extend human lifespans. Intrigued, Wade delved deeper into the findings, his curiosity ignited. The article mentioned that these rocks emitted a unique energy field capable of interacting with organic matter, slowing cellular aging. The idea seemed far-fetched, but tantalizing. Wade knew he had to see these rocks for himself. He decided, on a whim, to embark on a solo mission to investigate. That evening, Wade meticulously prepared for the journey. He reviewed charts, plotted his trajectory, and ensured all equipment was operational. He packed advanced sampling tools, protective gear, and sustenance for the journey. Before retiring for the night, he stood on his balcony, gazing up at the stars. The weight of his decision settled on him, but so did a sense of excitement. Tomorrow, he would venture into the unknown. The next day, Wade boarded his sleek spacecraft. As the engines roared to life, he felt a surge of adrenaline. The launch was smooth, and hours later, he found himself descending onto an alien landscape. The surface was otherworldly as stark, barren terrain punctuated by shimmering pools of liquid and clusters of jagged rocks. The air was eerily silent, the kind of quiet that made one hyper-aware of their own heartbeat. Wade disembarked, his boots crunching softly against the ground as he surveyed his surroundings. The rocks were abundant, their surfaces glinting with an almost metallic sheen. As he approached, he felt a strange tingling sensation, as though the rocks were radiating an invisible energy. He bent down to examine one closely, his instruments confirming unusual electromagnetic readings. Wade was captivated. He began collecting samples, carefully storing them in insulated containers. Suddenly, a sharp, blood-curdling scream pierced the air. Wade froze, his instincts on high alert. Turning quickly, he scanned the area but saw nothing out of the ordinary. The scream echoed again, this time louder and more desperate. It was coming from further ahead. Gripping his equipment tightly, Wade followed the sound, his heart pounding in his chest. What he found left him speechless. Among a cluster of rocks lay a woman, an alien woman. Her appearance was both strange and beautiful, with glowing skin that shimmered like stardust and eyes that seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. She was trapped, her legs pinned under a massive rock formation. Her face was contorted in pain as she screamed, "Please, help me, I'm stuck." Wade hesitated for a moment, his mind racing. He had never encountered an alien being before, let alone one in such distress. But her plea stirred something within him. He moved closer, only to feel an invisible force pulling him toward the rock. Startled, he stepped back, realizing the gravitational pull of the rock was stronger than he had anticipated. "The rock is pulling me in," he called out. "You'll need to move toward my voice just a little." The woman nodded, her breathing ragged as she began inching backward, using what little strength she had left. It was a painstaking process, and Wade could see her muscles trembling from the effort. Determined, he crouched down, extending his arms to pull her. But as he grasped her hands, the gravitational force resisted, making it impossible to free her. Frustration and fear flashed across her face as tears streamed down her cheeks. "I'm going to die here," she whimpered, her voice breaking. Wade's jaw tightened. He refused to accept that outcome. Rummaging through his bag, he retrieved a high-powered cutting tool. "Hold on," he said firmly, positioning the blade against the rock. He activated the tool. Sparks flew as the blades sliced through the dense material. With a final, forceful push, the rock split apart, its pull weakening significantly. The woman gasped as the weight lifted from her legs. Wade seized the moment, pulling her free and cradling her in his arms. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. She clung to him, her body still shaking from the ordeal. Wade helped her sit up, examining her for injuries. "What were you doing here?" he asked. "How did you end up in that situation?" "I came here to extend my lifespan," she admitted. "These rocks have incredible properties. But I miscalculated and got stuck in a gravitational trap. I think being trapped there actually helped me absorb more of the rock's energy." "So it's true," Wade said, his eyes widening. "These rocks can prolong life, but why are they left untouched?" "Why isn't everyone here? Access is forbidden," she explained. "Only the colony leader is allowed to come here." Wade tilted his head. "Then how did you manage to get here?" A sly smile spread across her face. "I persuaded the colony leader to give me permission." "Persuaded?" Wade raised an eyebrow. "You mean you used your—" "Yes," she interrupted, unapologetic. "I used my femininity. My name is Janitra, by the way." "Wade," he replied, nodding. "Since I saved you, it's your turn to help me." Janitra regarded him curiously. "What do you want?" "Extend my life," he said with a grin, "and while you're at it, make me happy." She chuckled, motioning for him to lie on the rocks. As he complied, she began channeling the rock's energy into his body. Her hands worked expertly, massaging his muscles and occasionally planting soft kisses on his skin. Wade felt an inexplicable euphoria, as though he were weightless despite the solid ground beneath him. As his thoughts drifted, a wild idea crossed his mind. "If lying on these rocks extends our lives," he mused aloud, "what would happen if we had a child here? Could the child be immortal?" Janitra paused, her eyes meeting his with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the layers of the moment. The alien woman's gaze was both challenging and inviting, as if she were silently daring him to pursue the idea he had voiced. The air between them grew thick, charged with a strange energy that mirrored the mysterious pull of the rocks around them. Without breaking eye contact, Janitra reclined onto the shimmering surface, her body framed by the alien landscape, an otherworldly contrast to Wade's human presence. As she lay there, her glowing skin seemed to merge with the faint luminescence of the rocks. She moved slowly, deliberately, her actions both graceful and hypnotic. "If this is what you want to discover," she finally whispered, her voice carrying a depth of emotion and understanding, "then let's not waste time theorizing. Let's act." Wade hesitated, not out of fear, but out of the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just an experiment. It was a collision of two lives from vastly different worlds, united by a shared curiosity and a growing bond. He knelt beside her, placing his hand gently on her arm. "Janitra, are you sure?" he asked, his voice softer now. "This isn't just about me, it's about us. About something neither of us truly understands." Janitra's expression softened, and for the first time, a vulnerability surfaced in her glowing eyes. "I've spent my life in a colony where every decision was controlled, where every action had a consequence. For the first time, I feel free to choose. Wade, and I choose this. I choose you." Her words struck him deeply, dispelling any lingering doubt. Wade leaned closer, their breaths mingling as he brushed a stray strand of her hair away from her face. Then, with a mixture of tenderness and resolve, he joined her on the rocks. The alien surface beneath them hummed faintly, as though resonating with their connection. The energy of the place seemed to amplify their senses, heightening every touch and every glance. What followed wasn't just a physical union, it was a merging of their worlds, their histories, and their dreams. Wade was acutely aware of the weight of the moment, the profound implications of what they were doing. This wasn't just a simple act of passion, it was a testament to their shared defiance of the boundaries that separated them. Janitra, too, felt the significance, her movements filled with a reverence for the uncharted path they were carving together. As the hours passed, the rocks beneath them seemed to respond, glowing faintly in rhythm, with their shared heartbeat. It was as if the very land was acknowledging and amplifying their connection. Wade felt a strange lightness coursing through him, a sensation that was equal parts physical and emotional. He looked at Janitra, her features illuminated by the ethereal glow, and felt an overwhelming sense of awe. When the moment finally ended, they lay together in silence, their bodies intertwined. The silence wasn't empty, it was full of meaning, a quiet acknowledgement of the magnitude of what had just occurred. Wade stared up at the alien sky, his mind racing with thoughts of the future. He turned to Janitra, who was tracing patterns on the rocks with her fingers. "Do you think it worked?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Janitra smiled faintly. "If the rock's energy flows as we believe, then we may have just done something no one else has ever dared to do. But time will tell." Wade nodded, the weight of her words settling over him. He couldn't shake the thought of what they might have just created, a child born of two worlds, shaped by the mysterious properties of this alien land. The implications were staggering, but instead of fear, he felt hope. Over the next few days, they remained on the rocks, observing and studying the effects on their bodies. Janitra, now more attuned to the rock's energy, guided Wade through the process of absorbing it more efficiently. Together, they meditated on the surface, their breathing synchronized as they allowed the energy to seep into their beings. Wade noticed subtle changes within himself. His stamina increased, his mind felt sharper, and even his skin seemed to carry a faint glow. Janitra confirmed similar changes in herself, though she was quick to remind him that she had already spent more time in the rock's field than he had. One night, as they rested beside each other under the alien sky, Janitra placed a hand on her abdomen and turned to Wade. "I think it started," she said softly. Wade sat up, his heart racing. "You mean?" She nodded, her expression a mix of wonder and certainty. "Yes, I can feel it. A new life has begun." For a moment, Wade was struck speechless. The reality of their actions hit him like a tidal wave, but instead of panic, he felt an overwhelming sense of purpose. "We'll leave soon," he said, his voice steady. "We'll go back to Earth and give this child the best life possible, together." Janitra smiled, reaching for his hand. "Together," she echoed. The days leading up to their departure were filled with careful planning. Wade collected as many samples as he could, determined to bring back evidence of the rock's properties. Janitra helped him document their findings, her scientific mind proving invaluable. As they boarded the spacecraft, they took one last look at the alien landscape, a place that had changed their lives forever. Back on Earth, the Space Research Committee was abuzz with Wade's return. He introduced Janitra as his partner, explaining her role in the discovery. Though met with initial skepticism, her knowledge and insights quickly won over the committee. Months later, their child was born, a being that carried the potential of two worlds. As Wade and Janitra gazed at their newborn, they couldn't help but wonder about the future. Would the child live forever? Would their union change the course of human history? Only time would reveal the answers. For now, they were content to simply be a family, bound by love and the extraordinary journey that had brought them together.